Some of the smartest people you know are quietly stuck, not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunities, and definitely not because they lack information. In fact, that's often the problem. They know too much. They've read the books, watched the videos, listened to the podcasts, thought through every possible outcome. Yet somehow, years pass and their life barely changes. Meanwhile, someone less intelligent, less informed, and less qualified seems to move forward. That doesn't make sense. We're taught that intelligence is an advantage, that if you're smart enough, you'll figure things out. But what if intelligence can become a trap? What if the same mind that helps you solve complex problems is also the thing keeping you stuck? If you've ever spent hours analyzing a decision, delayed starting something because you weren't ready, or felt exhausted from thinking about your life instead of living it, this might explain more than you think. Most people assume being stuck is a motivation problem, but for intelligent people, it's often the opposite. They're not underthinking, they're overthinking. Imagine someone considering a career change. Instead of taking a small step, they analyze every possibility. What if the market changes? What if they choose the wrong path? What if they regret it 5 years later? What if another option is better? The result? No decision, no movement, just endless mental simulations. Psychologists sometimes call this analysis paralysis, when the brain becomes so focused on finding the perfect answer that it loses the ability to act. And here's the strange part. The smarter you are, the more convincing your overthinking becomes. You can generate stronger arguments. You can see more risks. You can imagine more future scenarios, which means your mind can build an incredibly sophisticated prison, one that feels like wisdom, but is actually avoidance. There's a psychological concept known as cognitive complexity. People with higher cognitive complexity can see multiple perspectives simultaneously. That's useful, but it comes with a hidden cost. Simple decisions stop feeling simple. Every choice becomes connected to dozens of possible futures. Instead of seeing one door, you see 50. And suddenly, choosing any door feels dangerous, because you're painfully aware of all the doors you're closing. This creates what psychologists call opportunity cost sensitivity. You become obsessed with making the optimal choice, not a good choice, not a workable choice, the best possible choice. The problem: life rarely reveals the best choice in advance. Most successful people didn't discover the perfect path. They discovered a path by walking it. But intelligent people often want certainty before action, and certainty is something reality rarely provides. There's another reason smart people get stuck: identity. Many intelligent people grow up being praised for being smart, not for being persistent, not for being courageous, not for experimenting, just smart. Over time, intelligence becomes part of their identity, and protecting that identity becomes extremely important. Think about what happens when someone like that faces a new challenge: starting a business, learning a skill, creating content, applying for a competitive role. There's a risk of looking inexperienced, a risk of failure, a risk of discovering they're not immediately good at something, and that threatens the identity they've spent years building. So they delay, research, plan, prepare. Anything except expose themselves to the possibility of failure. The irony is painful. The very intelligence that once earned them praise becomes the reason they avoid growth. At first, being stuck doesn't feel dangerous. You tell yourself you're thinking things through, being responsible, being strategic. But something slowly begins to happen. Life keeps moving. Other people accumulate experience. They gain feedback. They make mistakes. They adapt. Meanwhile, you stay in preparation mode. And eventually, a frightening realization appears. You haven't been protecting your potential. You've been postponing it. This creates a unique kind of regret. Not regret over failure. Regret over possibilities that were never tested. Years later, many people don't ask, "What if I had succeeded?" They ask, "What if I had actually tried?" That question can be difficult to live with. There's another hidden consequence. The longer you stay stuck, the less confidence you feel. Most people think confidence comes before action. Behavioral science suggests the opposite. Confidence often comes after action, after evidence, after repeated experiences that prove you can handle uncertainty. When action stops, confidence has no new evidence to feed on. So, self-doubt grows, and the cycle becomes self-reinforcing. You hesitate because you lack confidence, and you lack confidence because you keep hesitating. So how do smart people escape this trap? Not by thinking less, but by changing the role thinking plays. Most people use thinking as a tool. Stuck people use thinking as a substitute for action. That's an important distinction. The goal isn't to eliminate analysis. The goal is to stop expecting analysis to provide certainty. Because certainty isn't what creates progress. Feedback does. Consider how scientists work. They don't sit in a room trying to think their way to absolute truth. They form hypotheses, run experiments, observe results, adjust accordingly. Life works surprisingly well under the same model. Instead of asking, "What's the perfect decision?" ask, "What's the smallest experiment I can run?" Want to start a business? Get one customer. Want to switch careers? Talk to 5 people already doing it. Want to create content? Publish one piece. Experiments create information. Overthinking only creates theories. And real-world information is almost always more valuable than imagined scenarios. Here's another powerful shift. Replace outcome goals with learning goals. Many intelligent people become trapped because they're trying to protect outcomes. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if people judge me? But learning goals change the equation. The question becomes, what can this teach me? Now, even imperfect results have value. Failure becomes data, and data is useful. Suddenly, action feels less threatening, because every outcome moves you forward. Try this exercise today. Think about one area of your life where you felt stuck for months, or even years. Write down the decision you've been overthinking. Then ask yourself a simple question. What is the smallest action I can take within the next 24 hours that gives me new information? Not a complete solution, not a 5-year plan. Just one action, one conversation, one application, one email, one draft, one attempt. Make it so small that your brain has no reason to resist it. Then do it before the day ends. The goal isn't to solve your entire life. The goal is to break the illusion that more thinking is what you need. Because often, the clarity you're waiting for is hiding on the other side of action. Smart people often assume their greatest advantage is intelligence. But intelligence alone doesn't change lives. The ability to act despite uncertainty does. The future rarely belongs to the person who found the perfect answer. It belongs to the person willing to discover answers through experience. If you've been stuck, it may not be because you're incapable. It may be because you've been asking your mind to do something it was never designed to do. Predict the entire future before taking a step. And that's impossible. The moment you stop demanding certainty, something unexpected happens. You become free to move. And movement creates clarity. So here's the thought to leave with. A brilliant plan executed someday is usually worth less than an imperfect step taken today. The life you want may not be waiting for a better strategy. It may be waiting for your next experiment.
So, friends, your time matters, your mind matters. Keep choosing growth. If this story moved you, a like or comment means a lot. And if you are new here, welcome to Mind Thrive. Subscribe and stay inspired.